Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Strain, and this is the Joy Rush Podcast. It's the show where you figure out what you want to do when you grow up. Today, I'm joined by Alden Basmajian. He's a former advisor of mine, a runner, a coach, a triathlete, and an Ironman. Since my graduating high school, Alden has moved south to a new school where he teaches math and coaches track and cross country. I thought to chat with Alden because of his journey from finance to teaching to eventually running to find his true passion of coaching. Hopefully, in discussing his journey, you can find some insights to apply to your life and hopefully figure out what you want to do when you grow up. Thanks and enjoy the show. Are you in between classes right now?
So I have, I'm supposed to have a class right now. Here, is this any
There we
better?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
better?
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to have a class right now, but it is a class of two people. It's Calc 3, and one of them
nice.
is sick today, and the other one had a school other event basically that was happening during my class. So, no class?
Calc 3, pretty advanced group of
It,
students.
it definitely is. They keep me on my toes as well.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. This is, I think, the third time I've taught the class here, and I taught linear algebra once or twice. We had one student who was going to have to take both of those classes because she took BC calculus as a sophomore, and
Mhm.
so I just alternated classes for a few years, and then last year we didn't have any girls, so I teach at all girls school, and then just down the road, like literally just down the road, is the boys' school, and so in the high school they actually go back and forth for classes, but the different subjects do it at different times. So basically, like junior year for a stronger math student, senior year for normalish math students, they're mixed classes. But last year there were no girls enrolled to take that Calc 3 class, so it went over to the boys' school, and then this year I got it back.
Nice.
Yeah,
And do you have more fun doing the harder math?
it is fun. I mean, like sometimes we literally just sit down and talk. It's not even like here's how to do a problem. We just
Hmm.
I sat we went outside one day last week. I think it was Friday because it was really nice. We just sat there and we like had the textbook and then we just talked about math as opposed to doing any problems.
Nice.
I've taught some pretty talented kids who were doing problems that would take me equally as long to do as they were doing. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, um, over like the past 2 months, I guess I've been looking for a new job in marketing,
Okay.
but also was exploring kind of the commercial real estate space since my dad and my brother are both kind of involved in that area.
Okay.
So I was taking what is it? A financial modeling boot camp that my brother took when he started
Nice.
to be an analyst. And it was
Nice.
the first time that I mean, not even using advanced math, but just the first time that I had really worked with formulas and kind of the thought process that involves breaking down a complex equation or just
Right.
problem.
Right.
So that was kind of refreshing to put myself back in that MK classroom and think more strategically about that. I mean, I guess I took calculus at Gettysburg
Okay.
freshman year, but haven't taken that serious of a math course since.
Good for you. Well done. And so are you going to keep going that route, or are you still trying to figure out what it is coming next for you?
I think what's coming next for me is sort of in the marketing content
Okay.
creation route.
Okay.
One of the reasons why I started kind of having these chats and started this podcast was because I wanted to, one, talk to a lot of different people who are doing what they love in any capacity, whether
Hmm.
that's if they love banking or create like doing creative transactions, or I just talked to Ben Yanis last week, so he's doing physical fitness and also being a content creator.
Okay.
Um, so my goal was to talk to a lot of different people who love what they do and kind of figure out through that what I love to do, since I feel like I love to do so many different things.
Gotcha.
But at the moment, I think I'm really interested in marketing as a whole, and then content creation and just kind of the attention market and how that's going to evolve over the next 10, 15 years as we have emerging technologies and just uh, continue to spend so much time on our phone, and how like I'm just trying to think these days of what platforms could be next.
Okay.
And I feel like you have no idea what the next kind of attention grabber is going to be until it pops up. So kind of marketing at paid ads and content creation, I think, is kind of my
Okay.
next area. So that's the conversations I've been having a lot, kind of offline and applying to those jobs.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so kind of doing that right now. I'm living in Utah
Okay.
with Rob. Actually, I'm
Nice.
in New Jersey right now, um,
Good. Is this
but living
dad's
in
house right now? At your dad's house or?
we're at our family friend's house right now.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Gotcha.
staying in town. Yeah, dad's living in the city,
Okay.
and yeah, we're gonna see him in like 2 days
Okay.
for my step uncle's wedding.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah,
So you
so
and
back on
Rob
the
out
East
there.
Coast.
Nice.
I know. First, we did the whole be there for the winter, and we kind of transitioned back from I was in LA for one summer, and he was in Las Vegas, and then we were both in New Jersey for the following summer, and now we were like, all right, let's give Utah summer a try, and I've had a really nice time out there. I just went camping for the first time since MK Survival.
That's great. And you survived. There you go. You got it
I did.
together.
I did survive. Yeah, it was a little bit more luxurious than the MK survival since we didn't boot pack 7 miles or however many miles
Right.
in we drove in.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, but it was really nice.
Oh, that's cool, man. And did you just go with a group of friends out there?
Yeah, I went with my girlfriend and a couple of her friends, and
Okay.
then my college roommate and his girlfriend also tagged along.
Okay.
So it was a
Nice.
nice little group. Just did one overnight,
Okay.
and yeah, it was pretty cold, but it was good. And
Good.
you're in Virginia now?
Yes, so I'm in Richmond. That I'm still at the same place where I came down to from MKA. So this
Mhm.
is year 7 here, and things are moving along. Any job has its ups and downs, but it's moving well here. I like the classes I'm teaching this year. I have all calculus levels, so I'm teaching 2 regular calculus, a BC calculus class, and then that multivariable, that Calc 3 class. And then I am head coach of the running program, so cross country, indoor, and outdoor track.
Nice.
That's been a slow progression. At first, I think my second year here, I was a co-head coach for cross country. Then I was just the solo head coach for cross country the third year. Um, and the woman who was in charge basically was the other side of that. So she phased back as I phased in.
Got it.
And
Nice.
so I took over outdoor track 2 years ago, and then one of the other assistants took over indoor track 2 years ago, but he left, and so last year I took indoor track as well.
And how's that balancing with your BTR? Are you still doing
I'm
kind of
still doing
outside
that.
coaching?
Yeah, I actually have, at the moment, I have about 20 adults that I'm coaching. I had a couple other high school athletes over the summertime, and then as they go back to school, I step away. And so, but it's mostly adults. And I've got a group that's here in Richmond, and then I still have ones that are in New Jersey. Either they've been ones that I've coached for a while, or they are just a connection of somebody else that I've coached. So it's beginning to kind of spread out a little bit more,
Yeah.
but it's
And
going well. I do enjoy it.
are you thinking of bringing in maybe a secondary coach and kind of leveraging that based on kind of, I don't know, I was curious how I was gonna, in like doing my research, my background on you. I was curious how I was gonna stack up with. I assumed based on just who you were that if you were involved at a school, you'd be involved with their athletic programs.
Yes.
And then was looking at the BTR website and assumed that you had a bunch of clients. And then on top of that, I was like, he's doing his own training and his own marathons and qualifying events. So with
Yep.
all of that going on, are you considering kind of leveraging some outside help and keeping that business side of the business going, or?
So I haven't made up my mind on that, and it's not that I want to be the only coach for them. I think My wife Kim, I mean, she's got a running background. She kind of understands the work, and then we'd obviously be able to team together on it. She could ask me questions, um, but we haven't really sat down to say like, let's keep growing this. And so I don't know personally how much I do want to grow it. I think there's potential there if I really wanted to expand it out and say like, you are part of this group and there's not just me as the coach, you might have other people. I think there is that ability if I pushed it more, but I just haven't gotten there yet. And
Yeah.
if I did, then yes, I would definitely bring somebody on, or I'd have to change part of the regular day job.
Yeah.
I don't think, like to your point, there are still just 24 hours in my day, and I still need to sleep. So I'm pretty much maxed out in terms of the number that I can coach. I have a little bit of wiggle room depending on if somebody comes and all they really want is just like, hey, I want to run 4 times a week and I want to do general strength and fitness. I have plenty of things that I can throw in there, and that planning, not to diminish it, but that planning doesn't need so much because I'm not looking at like, peaks and then coming back and peaks again and coming back for
It's
different races.
Yeah, and I don't think you're just diminishing what their goals are. They don't require as much hands-on attention as
Correct.
someone who's looking to win an Ironman race.
Right.
And you're like, send me your Whoop data, send me your time, send me your diet, so that we can try to optimize everything and give you the
Right.
best chance at winning.
Right.
Versus someone who's like, I just want to run some more. I'm looking for a workout plan, and you're
Exactly.
just like, I have a PDF that if you follow,
You're
just
gonna be
like
good. Yep.
yeah, exactly. I was talking to Ben a little bit about that, and how I guess his courses and his kind of content is more geared towards people who want to take fitness very seriously,
Okay.
or who are already very involved in fitness. And so, like, it's almost coaching for coaches,
Sure. Okay.
versus kind of the average Joe going into the gym and like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll do the stair climber today, or
Right.
do some upper body, but I'm going to Google what upper body workouts I'm going to do today, as opposed to having a spreadsheet and putting my
Right.
weights in and like reviewing that with someone.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
I
I think
do.
you might,
I do a mix. I'm in between that sometimes. Like I will legitimately just look up a kettlebell routine. Kettlebell's not my strength. I don't spend a whole bunch of time developing kettlebell routines, but I'll look it up and I'll give it to somebody in the progression of the work that they're doing. So it's a little mix of both, kind of happy medium. I think that the fact that we can do so much of this fitness stuff remotely as well. Like you don't need to go meet your client at the gym and stand next to the person while they're doing this, assuming that the athlete individual themselves is motivated as well. If they're not motivated, then they really are just looking for that actual accountability. That's a different kind of discussion.
yeah, no, completely. And on the front of like, at least the way I was started to think about it when you were talking about, I could take on more clients, but not clients that are that require a lot of hours put into their training and kind of analyzing the data. I think Ben, if you reached out to Ben to talk about that, I think what he's done with social media and just like creating his kind of PDF guides and different resources that you can get on his website. That's been just watching him do that. It seems like he's been getting a lot of either attention or just like kind of users through that. I mean,
Um,
he's doing the most on social media in terms of every day posting a video.
okay.
Um,
Is this the
but
modern meathead movement? Is this him?
yes, it is.
Okay. That's awesome. I'll,
I
I'll have
know
to
it's
I'll have
so
to take a
cool.
look at it. Okay, well I pulled it up on my computer so I can look at it later.
Yeah, no, of course. I could totally see you in similar light doing something with running, and
Yeah,
finding some success through that. Um,
that's awesome. Thanks for
but
the suggestion.
yeah, of course. And are you training for any big races right now?
So right now I've one race left on the calendar for this year. I'm going to go down to Daytona. There's a organization called Clash, and they do a few races here in the U.S. and they're a little different. They're actually based on a racetrack. So I'm going to go down to Daytona and race around the Daytona Speedway, basically.
That sounds so tough on your ankles.
Well, so there's the you're not on it the whole time. First of all,
Okay.
so you swim in the infield. They've got a little lake. You swim in that. It's an out and back rectangle, and then you hop on the bike and you do go around. You
Nice.
take one or two laps. And then you go out into the neighborhood. So then you're out for, I think, a 2-lap bike course, and you come back and finish around the track. Same deal for the run, but you run down on the apron. So you're down on the flat
Got
part.
it.
You don't spend
How many
all
miles is a full loop?
in at the speedway. I think it's 2.5 miles.
Okay.
Yeah. So you run 1 or 2 laps around, and then you go out, and then you come back and you finish. I think you finish like checkered flag finish line.
Nice.
Right. So I could be wrong on that, but it's pretty cool
They've
setup.
got to do a checkered flag
Right,
finish. I mean,
right.
what else are they gonna
It's
do?
the Daytona racetrack.
Yeah.
So this and the whole two reasons. One, I thought that was pretty cool, but it is for the long course, which is the more generic name for the half Ironman distance. It is the U.S. National Championship. So I'm going down there to see if I can at least place on the podium or possibly win a national championship. So
Nice.
that's the goal. That's December 3rd. So I got a little over 2 months for that. I've got all the base I really need, and then I'm just starting to think ahead about what kind of specific work I want to do as the next 8 weeks really progress.
Got it.
So that one, and then I have one goal in mind for next year, but that's it. So I qualified for Team USA, and the race is about this time next year. So it's in roughly 12 months. I don't actually have a date for it yet,
Nice.
but it'll be in Spain. And, it's a goal in the sense that I want to go there and do well. It's not a goal of I'm going to win the world championships. I just want to go there and have a good race.
Yeah.
It'll be roughly 2 hours. I don't know how fast the race course is in terms of hilly or anything like that, but roughly 2 hours, and walk away knowing that I left it out there. And that'll be a pretty good way to wrap up things. So
That's awesome.
I'm not calling an end to the career after that. I just think it'll be nice to like fully take a deep breath and decompress for a little bit.
Yeah. No, I didn't, because I was looking at your LinkedIn before we chatted, just
Okay.
getting a refresher, and I
Okay.
had forgotten that you went the investment banking route
Yeah.
after.
Yeah. So I did a short little stint with Alliance Bernstein, and I'd always, like some people know they want to be a doctor or things like that. I always liked math, and I always liked the idea of teaching. And so to me, teaching was something I wanted to do, but with no definitive timeline. Like it could have been in a year from being out of school. It could have been in 15 or 20 years. It ended up being in 3.5 years.
Yeah, did you
And
figure out pretty quickly that you weren't that happy in investment banking, or was it just you thought you'd be happier teaching?
Yeah, I thought I'd be happier teaching, and it also coincided with the market crash, and so it was a mix of like, well, I'm not really loving this work, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to easily get another job. So I was looking at other jobs, and it was the exact same thing, if not slightly more data processing than what I was doing, and I had very few opportunities to just like think and do my own thing and actually feel like I was smart in generating stuff. And so with that, it was like, this isn't going to change, so I might as well start making a path towards doing something that I know I want to do. So in a year, I think I took something like 50 total credits in a year, between the grad school classes and then the math classes that I had to take, because my undergrad was in finance and economics, and I had not taken any math classes, really since high school, because I took BC Calc in high school also, so I placed out of the calc requirement at William and Mary, or the math requirement, so I didn't have to take any math classes.
Yeah.
I took one stat class, and that was it, as like an actual math class. Yeah, check the box, done. So I had to go back and basically pick up all the classes to get to like a minor in math amount of credits. So I took those classes, which were separate from the grad school education classes, while I was working.
Nice.
So that was, yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a busy 10 months or so, and then I did eventually get laid off in the last round of layoffs at Alliance, but it was at the time that I was actually looking for a job to teach. So I was like the happiest guy to get laid off, because I was getting paid to then go look for a new job. So it was
This
great.
is perfect. I don't
Yeah,
even
I
have to
did.
quit.
I did. I walked in and I was like, guys, this was great timing. I don't have to tell you that I'm going to leave. So
They're like, wait, can you say that again,
yeah,
please?
yeah, exactly. And so that started the transition, and it was great at MKA to be able to still have some attachment to the financial world, through the class and then just through other activities. So that was good. And I tried, first 2 years. I don't think it took some convincing, but I think by the third year I had gotten to the point where I created a similar class, here. It had a little bit more math to it, so we actually did like derivative work and integration work, to be able to look and study pricing models and business models, and understand how, one, if a business had a model that we could look at, how they were projecting, let's say, sales growth or costs and things like that, or we could look at data, make our own model, and interpret it. So it definitely had more of a math expectation level to it, than the one at MKA, but it was still very similar in the sense that it was built around current events. We learned economic principles and got a chance to see them play out. This year, we're not offering that class anymore. It got kind of pushed to the side by a couple other classes to help out some of these other kids that needed a home in between
Yeah.
calculus and not taking a math class.
Relatable.
Yes, yes. So, but yeah, so that and my brothers, all three of my brothers are still involved in the financial world. My oldest brother is an investment banker. The second one is in corporate finance, and the third one, my younger brother, had worked for the Fed for a number of years, and then now he works for the Bank of Hawaii.
Nice.
So he's doing crypto stuff with them and some other work. I'm not quite sure, but so I still get a little financial world fix from them, as the texts
At the
fly
dinner
back
table.
and forth. Yes, exactly.
That's
So
awesome. So the leap kind of became a lot easier than
it did.
anything really.
It did. And you know, at that point too, I had been using lunchtime. I'd go run in Central Park. I hadn't really invested too much at the triathlon side of things. I was really still just running, with at the Alliance time, but it had become a habit of what I was doing. You know, I'd go out and I'd run at lunch. And if I wasn't running, maybe I would just go for a walk and go move around. But the idea of like, I've got some downtime, I'm going to go exercise, and then I'm going to come back to my desk and take care of my work. That was there. So then when MKA came around, that was still like part of what I was doing. And that morphed over time from running with the team to running with the team a little bit, but then riding before school or riding during a free period or swimming during a free period. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to continue that here. I came here and they were like, no, you're expected to be in your classroom. And I was like, really? Um, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Like that,
and
that's kind of a non-negotiable for me.
so we had some back and forth there, and they've been awesome here, basically to help accommodate that part of my life and support that part of my life as I support the community as best as I can as well.
Yeah. Did you get any kind of words of wisdom from like mentors or siblings or family members when you were kind of making that leap? And then did anyone like significantly push you to start running either as a coach or with your BTR? One
Um,
person comes to mind for coaching an MKA, but
right. So. I got to say the running I probably credit to Kim. She I don't think she really knows this. Maybe I've never really explicitly said it to her. But my senior year at William and Mary, I had never really run more than 5 or 6 miles, and my brother was running. My second brother was running the Colonial Half Marathon, and I jumped in and we basically ran the whole thing together. And I had a pair of like trail running shoes and just hung out and we ran. And I mean, I was beat by the end. If it ended at 12 miles, I would have been great, but that last mile was brutal. But I walked away from that, and Kim has been a runner for a while. Her parents were runners. So it was something kind of instilled in her, and she had run that race before. And my time was close to hers. And so the competitor in me was like, man, I was only a couple minutes away from her, and all I did was throw on a pair of shoes this morning. So the competitor in her, she was not too happy that I was only a couple minutes away from her. So then that began kind of like the whole running thing. So not necessarily a words of wisdom or something in terms of guidance there. It was just I realized I liked the running side of things. I always liked biking, and then finding time for it once I felt that connection to it was easier, right? Because it's something that's of interest, and also that you're not too bad at it. So then
yeah.
it makes it a little bit easier to dedicate some time. And then to your point, Tom and I mean, we had a blast together. Absolutely. And some of my favorite runs were Tom creeping along in his car, and I would just run next to the driver's side of his car at like 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And he was out there coaching the other people I was running with. Maybe it was another woman who I now actually coach, or another guy who I've also coached off and on. But I got to come along, basically. I got to be the long run partner, and then we would just hang out and talk. And so the miles would go by relatively smoothly, and it was just good hangout time. Maybe finish it up with a bagel or a donut here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And that aspect to it, like just that almost that guide, right? A coach doesn't necessarily have to just be the one that tells you how to do something, just a guide for you as you go through it. That was pretty special. And so I think in seeing both of those, being the athlete, but also like actively involved as a coach or with the coach, really got me down this road of like, I think I'd like to actually explore coaching adults. We would actually collaborate, whether it was MKA athletes or other adult athletes. He'd tell me what he was doing, and I'd say, well, why don't you do this? Why not this kind of workout? Or if this is where this woman's having trouble, why not change runs so that you and with hills, because you're looking for the late strength rather than early strength. And so it was fun to like actually have that kind of more philosophical development conversation around coaching and around being an athlete, and as well as working with an athlete.
Yeah. No, he always had some random wisdom for me, whether fourth grade classroom or just passing in the hallways.
Yep, that
I
sounds
remember he
about
was
right.
always trying to motivate me with a free pair of shoes, which eventually I did get, and he took them off his feet and gave them to me, which was hilarious.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Rob also broke out his TF Flyer pair
Nice.
for the first time today, so he brought those out of
Okay.
the box.
Okay,
So there's
Kenzie. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say there's definitely a market if you wanna do another order.
Nice. Kenzie is my youngest daughter. She is 9, and she just opened up her pair of shoes the other day. I looked down, and she had these flashy, clean shoes on. And I was like, "Wow, look at you!" Because we bought basically the smallest size that I could get, which was
Yeah.
still many sizes too big for her.
So the
So
grow into it.
yes, so she finally has grown into it, and somehow I came away because everything got shipped to me, but I came away somehow with one extra shoe. I never figured out whose pair of shoes it was. Nobody ever reached out. Nobody said they were missing anything because I asked, but I have one extra pair of shoes. It's just in between, and nobody can wear it. So it's too small for me. It's too big for my wife, and so I have like this one clean pair that's going to sit there in the box until
Perfect.
maybe just stay like that. Maybe one of the
Until the right
kids.
runner comes around.
That is correct. That is correct. So
The
Tom,
Cinderella.
that's right. Tom is Kenzie's godfather, so maybe they'll be Kenzie's backups. Or maybe I give one to her, and Tom and Addison, my oldest, they have the same birthday, so maybe they split the pair of shoes. We'll see. But you want to talk about a guy that it just felt like you were meant to meet up with. That's one of them. That he would be the one.
Yeah.
So shares the
Oh,
same birthday, Godfather, and then he and Daniel basically had the same mental mental thinking level together. I mean, it was hysterical. So
he's I know, miss that guy.